This happened back in May 2021, but I've never forgotten it. I had just moved to the other side of Houston. I worked for a large retailer and got offered a job as the assistant store manager at a new store, which was a huge upgrade for me. For reference, I started there stocking shelves when I was 16, so really working my way up kind of thing. Anyways, I needed a place to stay, and all of the apartments wanted background checks. I'm not a bad guy at all, but I've gotten into a little trouble for weed and fighting when I was younger, so background checks always came back iffy. Even though I cleaned up my act, some people won't give you that second chance. I also didn't have a guarantor, so double bad. My buddy turned me on to Craigslist, which I didn't even know still existed, but I went on and found a nice little one-bedroom house only 10 minutes from work. From the pictures, it was okay. A little dated, but it was only $700 a month, and all of the so-called luxury apartments nearby wanted 2 to 3 times that. I should have gotten a roommate at one of those places instead, but I guess you live and learn. I called the number on the ad, and an older woman answered. "Hello?" she asked, her calm voice immediately putting me at ease. "Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm interested in renting your house," I remember saying to her. We exchanged pleasantries. I told her about my job, and after about 5 minutes, she asked if I wanted to come by that night to see the place. I said yes, and I finally felt a wave of ease over me. Another puzzle piece in my life was sliding into place, and I was going to be okay. Or so I thought. After hanging up, I looked again at the photos on Craigslist. I noticed something I guess I hadn't paid that much attention to before, and it was a door at the end of the small hallway. That wouldn't be weird in and of itself, but it had a metal pad with a lock on it. Weird, I thought, but maybe it's just storage for the landlord, or a room tenant that aren't allowed to access. I left a little early, making sure to drive through the neighborhood and just see what it was like. It was mostly lines of old homes and mature trees, the kind of place you'd raise a family in one day once you settled down. There were kids outside playing, and even an older couple on the grill, but as I pulled into my future home, I couldn't prepare myself for the horrors that lay within. "Tom, is it?" the older woman asked, opening the door as I walked up. I still remember what she was wearing. I'll never forget it. A pink floral dress past her knees, a light blue cardigan buttoned up on the outside, and a wafting of hydrangea perfume that was a little too overpowering. "Hi, Cindy. I'm Tom." I shook her hand with a smile on my face, summoning my customer service skills to hopefully land a place. "Come on in," she said, welcoming me inside. The place was just like the pictures, at least what I could see of it at that time. We walked into the kitchen, where she had laid out some paperwork on the counter. Cindy showed me around, very hospitable, and answered my questions about the rent schedule and utilities. It seemed too good to be true, like this place shouldn't even be on the market at all, at least for the price. There was something odd, though, and I didn't even realize it until the tour ended. That door from the pictures, with the lock, was nowhere to be found. There was one hallway in the house, and I had a bookcase there now. An older one, with nothing on it. I guess it's a red flag looking back, but sometimes in the moment you just don't see the entire picture. "Is everything what you hoped?" "I have the lease available here," Cindy said, picking up a ballpoint pen in her hand. "I actually have a question. I don't know why I didn't ask it on a tour, but when I saw the pictures online, there was a door or something with a lock on it. I'll never forget the look on her face, almost like the stilted shock she tried to stifle. Her mouth was open, just a sliver. "Oh, yes, I had to lock that room up and put that bookcase in front of it. Well, it's not even a room, really, just a closet. The old tenant used it and cut himself on an old rusty nail that was sticking out inside the room. My brother-in-law is a lawyer and said I should just keep it locked off. I put the bookcase there for you or any other tenant to use." The look on her face was odd, tears welling up in her eyes, but I didn't think she was sad, at least not looking back now. After she got done talking, I heard something, turning my head before she tried to get my attention back. "Damn squirrels," she said, shaking her head. "There are so many critters out here running on the roof, especially late at night." When I say my spidey senses were tingling, I mean it. This house was great, just what I needed, but I couldn't help but feel like something was off. I should have walked away then and there, but I felt as if I didn't have many other options. Where would I go? Where would I stay? Anybody in this position would have been torn. What am I getting at here? I signed the lease. Yeah, I know. I was an idiot. Cindy looked relieved when I did, and that ink dried, like she had gotten away with something. I suppose in a way she did, at least for then. I handed over a check with the first and last month, which is all she was asking for. When could I move in? Right now, if you'd like. I took the keys from her, said goodbye, and went to the store to buy a few things. I needed an air mattress until my friends could help me move, some towels, and the cheapest set of pots and pans I carried. I got all my supplies and stopped for a burger and fries to take back to the new house, to celebrate. When I pulled back into the driveway, something felt off. There was a small lamp in the front window, dimly lit, as the faint yellow glow of the warm incandescent bulb flickered gently like the flame of a candle. Cindy must have left that arm for me before she left. The previously lively and busy neighborhood was dead quiet. Only crickets, as I closed my car door and walked towards the front door. I don't know why, but at the time my heart began to pick up pace as I stuck the key in the deadbolt and opened the door. There was nothing inside. No noise, no life, and no furniture aside from an old wooden table and chairs in the kitchen. And nobody but me. Or so I thought. I locked the door behind me and immediately turned on every light I could. Not every room had an overhead light, but you could be sure I turned it on if it was there. I pulled the paper plate from my plastic grocery bag and unpacked my meal, pulling out a kitchen chair and sitting there, my back against the wall, just in case. I flipped my phone horizontally, turning on YouTube and starting a video. I stole the neighbor's Wi-Fi and just hoped for the best until I could get the cable guy out. I drowned out the silence with the video before I heard it, the first noise. I hit pause, fumbling with my greasy fingers on the screen. The noise, a tapping sound, stopping seconds later. "Hello?" I called out, hoping that the jitters of a first light in a new place was just overcoming me. Nobody answered, not even a peep, before I turned the video back on and soon had the fright of my life. I was sitting there, chewing my burger, before a loud bang happened. I jumped back in my chair, the feet skidding on the linoleum floor, before I stood up, swallowing my dinner and asking again. "Hello?" I shouted, my pulse increasing. Again, nothing, not even the faintest of replies or noises back. I picked up my phone, turning on the flashlight, before grabbing a plastic knife from my Walmart cutlery set as if it would do anything. I walked slowly throughout the small house, checking everything, before stopping in the hallway and looking ahead. The bookcase was there, towering, but I shook my head and retreated back to the kitchen. I hadn't heard anything, not even a peep, and besides, these old houses were filled with problems. Furnaces, old water heaters, and the houses settling next knocks and ticks, and there were the critters that Cindy talked about. I'm quite literally freaking myself out over nothing, or so I thought. I grabbed a bottle of water and my new top-of-the-line air mattress and walked into my new bedroom, closing the door behind me. The room was small, the dark wood trim around the baseboards and window making it feel even smaller. Beggars can't be choosers, though. I unboxed the mattress before messing with the pump to get it plugged in and working. The next part is where my life changed forever. As I crawled on my knees across the weathered beige carpet, I found the outlet and plugged my mattress in. I flipped the switch, and the loud echoes of the cheap pump filled the room. Just as soon as I turned it on, I heard it, again, the banging noise on the wall just inches away from me. I leapt back, turning off the pump, my mouth going dry. "Who's there?" I shouted, sweat beading on my forehead. I heard a man giggling, not laughing, from what sounded like inside the wall. I heard him walk away, towards the hallway, towards the door from the photos. I flung open the door, that old bookcase in my way, before I grabbed onto it and pushed it off to the left side. There it was, just like the photos on Craigslist. A dark brown door, faint scratches on the outside, with a slightly weathered steel bracket being secured by a padlock. I could hear something, someone, on the other side of the door. I looked down, a faint light coming out from underneath the door, a shadow moving closer. My mouth was open. I felt faint, but I knocked 3 times. I heard fingernails gently scrape for a second, before I put my ear closer to the door, not knowing who was on the other side, just an inch or 2 away through a layer of wood. I heard breathing, definitely from a man, but nothing else. "Hello?" I asked. There was silence, until a voice whispered back, "My name's Jeffrey. What's yours?" I jumped back, running into the bedroom and grabbing my things as fast as possible. I heard him laughing on the other side of the wall, knocking incessantly as if he were trying to break free. I ran out to my car and drove off before fumbling around my phone to dial 911 and tell them what happened. It turns out the woman, Singi, was keeping her older brother with developmental disabilities locked in a small room in the house and cashing his social security checks. Cops said it was the worst thing they had ever seen. The air was scale, he had a bucket to do his business in, and a single light bulb hanging from a cable in the ceiling. I sued her, got back my deposit and rent, and she was arrested, though I can't say I've kept up with the case to know how much time she got. My friends were all terrified. My mom yelled at me for getting an apartment from Craigslist, and I learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes if something is too good to be true, that's because it is. If you're enjoying this video, please like, subscribe, and comment down below what you would do in these situations. I'm a tiny channel just starting out, and I'd appreciate any support you could give me. But now, into story number 2. Have you ever had something go missing in your house, and you just kinda chalked it up to being forgetful? Like maybe some food, or even a sock is gone and you think, where did that go? Maybe don't forgive that feeling, and don't ignore it. I did, and woke up in a nightmare. When I was 16, my mom and I moved to Vermont. She had just gotten divorced from her second husband, and since I was still a minor, I had believed the only town I knew to move halfway across the country. I remember pulling up to our new home and feeling something good. It was a small cottage, a covered porch out front, and the previous owners even left us some snacks and a sweet card welcoming us to this town. It was a great place, but that's where the My Cities would end. The movers came and went, shuffling our furniture and boxes inside as fast as they could, as if their souls would be reaped if they stayed a second longer. Maybe I should have noticed that at the time, because this house, yeah, it was cursed. My mom and I labored away the entire day unpacking. I took a room upstairs, one of 2 up there, though they were both small. My mom used the other as a home office and guest bedroom, as if anybody was going to make the hike all the way out to Vermont to visit us. Her room was downstairs, off the kitchen, and had an attached bathroom. She really lucked out. I remember the first night darkness fell, and the house began to talk back to us, so to speak. Wind whistling through the tiny window on the front door, the forest drowning out my thoughts every time it started up, and every step sounding like something out of a cartoon. Creak, creak, creak. I don't think you could speak around this house if you wanted to, that sort of thing. The first night there I couldn't sleep, but looking back, I wish I had, because the most terrifying experience of my life wouldn't have happened. There I was, laying on my bed, when I heard what I thought was a footstep. It was faint and right above me. It was just the wind, I told myself. The house is old, the rest of it is basically falling apart, and I think it's too late for my mom to get her money back. Then another one happened, and another, and finally, one more. Then they stopped, and I heard what I can only describe as a scraping sound. But not on wood, but maybe on a plate? I know this sounds crazy, but it sounded like a fork scraping on a plate or a bowl or something like that. I sat up in my bed and asked hello, but nothing happened. At all. The noises just stopped completely. When nothing else happened for 5 minutes, I felt myself becoming overwhelmed by the fatigue of unpacking all day, and I passed out. I woke up around 3 in the morning, my mouth dry, before I remember smacking my lips and thinking about water. I sat up in bed, and that's when it happened. I heard the toilet in the hallway flush. "Mom?" I asked, rolling the covers off of me and standing up. The floorboards in my room creaked as I walked sheepishly towards the door, the ridged crystal knob turning before I peeked my head in the hallway. Nothing. I walked into the bathroom, the toilet lit up, with water still sticking in the bowl like it had just been flushed. I daringly pushed back the shower curtain, but it was empty in the tub. I looked around, not seeing anything. Before I looked up, there was a hatch, like to an attic, and the little string to pull it down was faintly moving. I remember feeling my breath hastening before I ran downstairs and shouted for my mom. She wasn't thrilled I woke her up, but what happened next would shock us for the rest of our lives. She called the cops, our tiny town now knowing our names, as lights flashed outside and neighbors lined up to see the commotion in the middle of the night. I told the officer what I saw, how I heard noises, in the toilet, the string, everything. He rolled his eyes at me, thinking I was some stupid little girl afraid of my own shadow. But since he was there, and it was a slow night, he humored me. I led him upstairs and pointed up at the hatch on the ceiling. He pulled down the cord, a small wooden ladder coming down in thicksay against the white bathroom tile, before he took out his flashlight and climbed up, sticking his head inside. He yelled, reaching for his gun, before pointing it inside and yelling to show your hands and that whole sort of thing. The cop grabbed the person inside, a man who didn't put up a fight and instead came willingly. When he came down, I was shocked. An unkempt man, bushy hair and beard, with a stained gray hoodie, was put in handcuffs right outside my bedroom door. Apparently he had been living in the attic, moving in during the couple of weeks between when my mom bought the house and when we moved in. He had been above me the entire night, right as I slept, my slumbering body being vulnerable to a vagrant who could have been anything he wanted to me. The cop took him away, and my mom spent an hour the next morning cleaning out the attic of all of his things. Old food containers, pee bottles, and even a damaged baby doll that he did who knows what to. We sold that house 6 months later, neither my mom or I feeling welcome or at ease there. I've heard the new owners turn it into a great house for their family, but I don't think I could ever stay there again.